Hello there, my name is Dmitry. I'm an Eastern European who's been living in London for several years. If you want to spend your holiday or your weekend in the British capital, but you've seen already, unfortunately, the main attractions, like these behind me. So in that case, I'm gonna show you several spots which are not so popular amongst the tourists. Let's get started. Many tourists, when choosing which museum to visit in London for free, often decide to come to the Natural History Museum. They prefer to see these giant skeleton or some cute animals, in spite of pictures or sculptures. It's not surprising because apart from the excellent location, not too far from Hyde Park, the exhibition here is very diverse. In front of this skeleton you'll see butterflies. Further on the first floor there are reptiles of different sizes waiting for you. Be careful because some of them can move unexpectedly. If you come here with children, they will like this show for sure, and the rest of the animal world as well. There are a lot of dummies here, starting with the smallest birds and ending with the biggest mammals. In some parts of the exposition dwell very weird animals. This, for example, is narwhal. And if you ask me which one is the most interesting and picturesque place here, I would say this spot on the second floor, where all these birds kind of fly over your head. On the same floor is situated also a big hall with minerals, stones, some of them quite precious, etc., etc. In front of the Natural History Museum, one more entrance-free place is waiting for you, Victoria and Albert Museum. In comparison with the previous museum, there aren't so much people here, maybe because the exhibition here looks like a bit weird at first glance. It's dedicated to sculpture, art, theatre, architecture, clothing, cutlery and everyday life in different countries. You can see here a giant chandelier in the main hall, ancient weapons in the second one, and a Chinese vase in the third one. There is a big room here with giant columns, which you can explore from inside as well. You can also visit these premises where almost everything, including the stairs, is made of glass. Not too far from there are situated another curious stairs, these here. And of course don't miss the room with the jewelry. Number 4 could be hardly called a tourist site because it's a cemetery. Highgate Cemetery. I know it's a bit weird to book a tour to London and in spite of visiting the British Museum to stroll around the graveyard, but let me explain you briefly. The cemetery opened in 1839, so the Londoners found their final rest here during the Victorian era, during the whole 20th century and a bit in the 21st century. That's why you can find a lot of monuments and sculptures from different periods. Apart from that, here are situated the so-called Egyptian Avenue and Circle of Lebanon. These are the two main spots in the western part of the cemetery. By the way, since September 2020, you can visit the West Cemetery, which is more interesting in my opinion, on your own, without guided excursion as before. So whose graves you can find here? Karl Marx. If you didn't know that, he is an idol for all the communists and socialists in the world. George Michael, Alexander Litvinenko, William Friese Green, Malcolm McLaren and many others. Most of the celebrities' graves are marked on the maps, except the George Michael's tomb. Even now, during these coronavirus restrictions, you can visit this amazing place on your own. Only for £10 you can stroll around the vaults, listen to the bell tolling and the birds croaking. My previous video is dedicated to this place, so you can check it. Attraction number 3, or to be more precise, there are 2 of them. These are 2 bridges which are not so popular. I don't know why, because their main purpose is to entertain the tourists. As you can see here, there was no point to build this bridge, because it's gonna take you about 15 seconds to get around. But this residential area is called Little Venice, so I presume that makes a bit more sense. So, if you decide to visit this place, it's situated exactly behind Paddington railway station. On Wednesday and Friday at noon, and on Saturday at 2 PM, you can come here with your phone or your camera and make a time lapse, like I did. Once these guys with the high vision vests have lifted the bridge, they will wait for you to take your selfies from different angles. No, seriously. The name of this bridge is weird. It's rolling bridge, when it should be something like curling or twisting bridge. The designer of this beauty is Mr. Thomas Heatherwick, whose works you can see around the world. In Singapore, in New York, and of course in London. After finishing with the first one, the bridge lifters moved to Funbridge. Thanks God it's only about 100 meters away and I had a bicycle. By the way, if you want to use a professional camera, you can, but without a tripod or a gimbal. That's why the camera is a bit shaky. Not because I was drunk or something. Wait a second. When filming the rolling bridge, I used a tripod, but nobody told me anything. Maybe because I visited it on Wednesday, not on Friday or Saturday. If you have time, you should definitely come here to take a look at this place, because not only the bridges, but the whole area is very handsome. The second place is also divided between 2 attractions. They are, I would say, the main graffiti areas in London. And whilst one of them, Shoreditch, is quite popular amongst the tourists, the other one, Leake Street, is not very famous. But I presume this is one of the most Instagrammable spots in the British capital. So if you are already in London next to the Big Ben, then cross the Westminster Bridge to the South Bank, take the second left and in about 200 meters on the right you'll see a tunnel. Yes, all these beauties collected in a tunnel. That's why you don't need to go around and search for the graffitis. Very convenient, innit? Some of the pictures are quite weird. I bet I've seen these 2 guys somewhere. And this one here as well. This last picture is situated on Fashion Street in Shoreditch. The main sites to visit in Shoreditch are Rivington Street, Pedley Street, Whitby Street, etc, etc. As for me, I liked these 2 graffitis. The Crane by Peter Rower on Hanbury Street, and this drawing by the artist Phlegm on Heneage Street. Anyway, the main, let's say, graffiti artery in this district is Brick Lane. The majority of the streets with paintings on them cross this street. So if you go along Brick Lane, you can easily reach these picturesque walls. And you know what? If you're already on Brick Lane, don't forget to turn here to the right. There you can find the graffiti artists creating their masterpieces. Weird construction in it, and the sound coming from there is strange as well. This here is attraction number 1 in my list, or to be more precise, one small piece of that attraction. The structure you've just seen on your screen is called The Hive, and it's situated in Kew Gardens Park in West London. This park is in UNESCO Heritage List and, unlike the majority of the parks in London, is not free. The entrance is £10, but you can buy annual subscription for £71. Once subscribed, you can visit the park the whole year for free. The only thing is you have to book a time slot in advance. I ranked this park first in my list because there are several places here worth visiting. The first one, you have already seen it. Exact replica of beehive, only a bit bigger. To be precise, 17 meters tall. The most interesting thing is the fact that the hive is connected to a real beehive. That's why you heard that sound in the beginning. That sound reflects the buzzing of the bees in real time. Except the hive, there are a lot of places here worth visiting, but in my humble opinion, 3 of them are the best. The first one is Treetop Walkway. It's kinda path running through the tree crowns 18 meters above the ground. So here in the park you can get acquainted not only with plants, but also take a look at bird life. The second place I liked is the so-called Rock Garden. It's a small garden with artificial waterfalls and a huge variety of different plants. And finally Alpine House, that's place number 3. So in this building I collected some plants which you can find only high in the mountains. Apart from all this, there is a pagoda in the park which is more than 250 years old. Some of the trees are pretty much the same age, like this for example. Also in Kew Gardens you can have a look at this picturesque arch, at Japanese Garden, Water Lily House, Palm House, and finally at the smallest amongst the royal palaces, Kew Palace. So let's summarize. Kew Gardens is an incredible spot for photographers and nature lovers. I'm gonna make a separate video about this gorgeous place. And on top of those 5 places, I want to show you that weird construction which you saw on the thumbnail. It's situated exactly in front of the US Embassy, which is a fascinating building itself. I can't show you the whole building, only this small part. This place is not too far from Battersea Power Station, and to be fair, the attraction I wanted to show you is still under construction and looks like this. And that's how it should look like in a couple of months. Yes, this is gonna be a swimming pool and a bridge. So this is gonna be maybe the only bridge in the world which you can cross swimming. The construction of the pool should be finished by the middle of this year. I hope there will be no quarantine by that time. And maybe the construction of one more curious pool will be finished by that time. This one. Interesting, innit? This swimming pool will be located on the top of the Infinity skyscraper. And I know what was your first thought. How on earth can we get inside since there is no door? Jumping from a helicopter, or the entrance will be a submarine-style door based on the floor. Also, according to this picture, the floor of the pool will be transparent. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching and good luck.